A lot of guys don't know how to build the muscles that will actually make them attractive to women. Now, a while ago, I was in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I was invited to this sunbathing type area. It was like loads of people sunbathing around the sides and a body of water in the middle. And to be honest, there was like 15 to 20 girls for every one guy. It was a nice place to be in, right? Now, I was walking around shirtless and I spotted a girl that looked pretty nice. So I go sit down next to her, talk to her for a little bit. We end up going out later that night. I end up back at her apartment later that night. Now, whilst I'm in her apartment, she says to me, you know, I've been practicing celibacy recently. And I look at her and say, why am I in your apartment then? And she points at my physique and goes, because look at you. Now, back in the day, just a couple of years ago even, I didn't have a physique that makes girls disregard their celibacy. But after I learned how to prioritize the right muscles, how to build muscle efficiently, how to build an attractive physique, that's when I did build the attractive physique that makes girls break their promises to themselves. And to be honest with you, now that I have this physique, attracting women gets way too easy sometimes, to the point that it's even boring. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly which muscles you need to build and how to build them efficiently without wasting a lot of time in the gym, so you can get similar results to me. A lot of guys either prioritize the wrong muscles or they barely know how to build muscle. So I'm going to fix that today. So the muscles that you prioritize whilst training in the gym are actually more important than the total amount of muscle mass that you have. The physique that we want to be most attractive to women is a V-taper frame physique. So that's going to be a slim waist going into wide lats and shoulders and then the upper chest to fill it out. That's the physique that's most attractive to women, the one that's going to make them think, oh, let me get a piece of that. Now, in order to have the most effective V-taper, you do need to be at a low body fat percentage, right? But basically, this type of frame is going to be what's most appealing to women and most confidence boosting for yourself, much more so than like having a strong deadlift or something will. When you see a girl with a slim waist and a big ass, the impacts that has on you is exactly the same impacts that you'll have on a girl when she sees you with a V-taper physique and a nice upper chest. The V-taper muscles have such a big visual impact. Like, for example, if you over-focused on building your legs and arms, like I don't know who do that, but let's say you did, you could have a lot of muscle mass in your legs and arms, but your physique will still look kind of shit, to be honest. Now, compared to someone who focuses on building the V-taper muscles, they could have less muscle mass than the other guy, but they will look not only better, but they'll look like they have more muscle mass just because they've built up the right frame. Now, that's not to say that we're going to disregard building our other muscles like our legs and arms, but obviously there's going to be a list of priorities, and our top priority is to build the muscles that are going to give you a sexy V-taper. So like I've mentioned, the muscles that are going to give you that attractive masculine physique are going to be the back, specifically the lats, the chest, specifically the upper chest, the shoulders, specifically the side delt, and the abs, not just the muscles themselves, but also the slim waist that you'll have from being lean. Of course, the muscles that are actually creating that V-taper frame, the upside down triangle, are going to be the lats and the side delts. Those are actually making your physique wide. The upper chest and the core, the abs, are going to be there to make your physique look good, look proportional. Now, out of those muscles, you need to look at your physique and decide which one is going to be the most important. Now, I would never do abs before lats, shoulders, or chest, but you need to make sure that it's in your session rather than just skip it entirely like most guys do. So I'll give you some good exercises to train these muscles optimally, and then after I'll talk about the principles behind these exercises and how you should actually perform them. So I'm going to go in order of muscles that I'm actually prioritizing at the moment. But like I said, when you're in the gym training, whatever muscles you need to prioritize for your current physique, those are the exercises that you're going to do first. Now, for me, I'm prioritizing my shoulders at the moment. So the first exercise that I do when I go to the gym right now is an overhead press. Now, this is good because it trains both the front and the side delt, which is important for an attractive physique to build those nice shoulders. Now, what you don't need to be doing is having your elbow like all the way fucking back there whilst your wrist is over here and pressing like in that type of angle. That's not going to be as effective for producing the force out of the muscle. If you go on the machine, right, for an overhead press machine, and when you put your hands on the handles, your arms end up like that, what you need to do is just basically scoot yourself forward so that your elbows are now stacked above your wrist and you can press like that. And then to isolate the side delt a bit more, because we need those wide cap shoulders for a V-taper physique, you're going to do cable lateral raises. Now, when you're doing them, you always go to about parallel, just about parallel. If you start to go like way above parallel, you start to involve the traps a bit more, and we don't care about them. Now, what you can also do is a machine lateral raise. Those are also good going to be nice and stable, and it's pretty easy. It's even easier to set up than the cables. Obviously, you just do this and that's about it. The rear delt still get trained, but later in the session, like we need to prioritize the V-taper muscles first. So after, I'll do like rear delt flies or face pulls or something like that. Now the next is going to be the lats. Now for the lats, the best exercises are going to be either a lat pull down or a chest supported seated row. Now for the lat pull down, I'm only doing them at the moment because I like them more than the rows, and also I'm getting close to the full stack. So when I'm doing the full stack, I'll consider doing something else. Now for the lats, for your form, you need to be basically slightly leaning back as you're doing the pull down. So none of this like excessive fucking arching or leaning all the way back, like turning it into a row. None of that. You're basically just leaning back enough so you move your head out the way, and the bar is coming down to like around this level, around chin, you know, something like that. Even nose or chest if you got the flexibility, whatever. You can, all of them are fine. The lats basically stop working at about parallel, like around this level, and I go just a little bit lower than that. And then again, for the seated row, your lats are most active up until the point where your arm is basically making a 90-degree angle. So you don't have to do any like excessive twisting, like this way, that way, start doing fucking acrobatics. You don't need to do any of that. Just stay still, stay stable, and work it in the range of motion that it's working in. Now for the upper chest, the muscle that's going to give that nice masculine look to your V-taper frame, the best exercise is going to be an incline press, and specifically an incline converging press. So basically a machine where the handles are getting closer together as you're pressing the weight at an incline angle as well. This is going to target your upper chest very well, and you feel the squeeze in your chest as well. Not that that's important for building muscle, but it does actually feel really nice as you're doing it. So I always like that machine. Now what you can do as well is going to be a Smith machine incline press. You know, if you don't have the machine or you just don't like it for whatever reason, put the angle at about 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 to 45 degrees, and put the seat that you're sitting on a little bit up as well. And you're going to press the same, press to around your collarbone area, I guess. Collarbone are a bit lower, and you're going to press the weight up in an incline angle. Use around a shoulder width grip, which is important for biasing the upper chest, and press the weight all the way to your chest. None of these fucking half reps like this, come on. Now if you really want to prioritize your chest in general, then you can also do some flat pressing. So just put the incline either to like a very low incline or just completely flat on the Smith machine, or getting a chest press that's again just a flat press. That will basically incorporate your whole chest. Now what you definitely don't want to do is prioritize your lower chest. When you prioritize your lower chest, you get like a saggy pec kind of look. And that's really unattractive. Like it'll genuinely ruin your physique if you have a saggy pec type of look rather than a, you know, masculine shelf upper chest type of look. Now for the last of our muscles that are the most important, your abs. Now, before I get into the ab training, you need to understand that you won't see the abs and even the other muscles, you won't see them nice and defined unless you're lean. So get to a low body fat percentage first. Now for the abs, the best exercises are going to be hanging leg raises, or you can do them on this type of dip machine that just has you stationary there. And you put a weight in between your legs and just lift up your legs until parallel, until a 90-degree angle. And what you can also do is you can do crunches like with the cable, right? Where you're basically in doggy style and you're just doing this. Now I'm not gonna lie, I've never done them, but I see people doing them and I can see that it works, right? But me personally, I won't be getting into that position. What I would do instead to work the upper abs is gonna be weighted sit-ups. So get on like a sit-up bench, you should have one, and then get a dumbbell or something, medicine ball, in between your arms, cross arms, and just do sit-ups normally. If you're gonna choose one or the other, then I would do the hanging leg raises, because that's gonna have more of a bias to your lower abs, which are a bit more attractive. Now, what you're not gonna do at all is train your obliques. Your obliques are the ab muscles on the side here. Now, a lot of athletes do this, right? For stability, for core function. We don't give a fuck. We want to look aesthetic. If you train your obliques, you're gonna basically widen your waist. You're literally gonna widen your waist by yourself. Not by eating too much, but literally by putting in hard work in the gym and training your obliques, you widen the waist, which is gonna ruin your V-taper. We need an upside down triangle shape, not a Roblox, not a square. Now your arms, of course, they're still important. They're on your upper body as well, but they're going to be done after your lats, shoulders and upper chest. If you do them before, it will impact your lats, shoulders and upper chest training, and they're not as important. So get the priority muscles done first and then arms after. Some guys will be training biceps first as if that's going to be the most important to get an attractive physique. It's not. Now the legs as well. You're going to have a separate leg day anyway, so we won't be neglecting legs. But the best exercise for your quads, which are the most important for guys, is going to be leg extensions. Those are going to train all parts of your quads. Now, another thing that a lot of guys miss is training the adductors here. The adductors are the muscle that bring your legs closer to your body like this. You can get on the machine, the fucking sus machine, and set it so that you have like a stretch. You've stretched your legs apart basically, and you're closing your legs together like that. That's going to give you like the quad sweep, which is going to make your quads look kind of attractive. Now, it's important to train your legs as well. We can't just skip them entirely, because when you have big legs, big developed quads, that's going to make your waist look smaller, because you've developed your quad. Your waist is like this, right? You develop your quads to go out a bit, so your waist looks smaller and your dick looks bigger as well, because you've got a small waist. Now, that's all the exercises. I'll now get into some of the principles of why we train like this, how we should train. Now, first of all, you see a lot of guys in the gym doing, 3 exercises per muscle, 2 sets per exercise. So in a session, they're doing like 9 sets for one muscle. I don't even do this amount in a week, and I still have 10 times better results than those guys, because I train with intelligence. Now, when you're doing a high amount of sets, and especially when you're training to failure, like I'm going to talk about, your muscles, your body won't recover. Your central nervous system will be fatigued. Your muscles themselves will actually be fatigued as well. You've heard the saying that less is more, right? And that's genuinely true for muscle growth. The average person thinks that to have a really good physique, like a top 0.1% physique, you have to be in the gym every day for hours. It's far from the truth. I can be in and out of the gym by the time that the average person has finished their fucking lunch. It's very likely that you'll see better results in the gym spending less time than you're currently doing when you train properly, like I'm going to talk about. Now, the way we actually train is going to be a low volume, high intensity, high frequency approach. And the best split I've found for this is going to be an upper lower split. So I do upper lower rest, just repeat that on a cycle. Upper one day, lower the next day, rest the next day, and repeat that. That split is going to basically allow you to have a good stimulus for muscle growth, but also keep your fatigue as minimized as possible. Each muscle will be getting trained 2 or 3 times a week, depending on what day you started your split or whatever. Now, to actually train in the gym, you should be doing 2 sets per muscle group. So for the exercise that I mentioned, right, for each muscle, the upper chest, the lats, or whatever, you choose an exercise, you choose one exercise, and you do 2 sets on it. None of this 4 exercises per muscle, 5 sets on each exercise bullshit, where you're in the gym for 3 hours and you're genuinely getting less benefit. With these 2 sets, you're going to be training from 4 to 8 reps, and you're going to train till failure. Now, you don't change the 4 to 8 rep range for any exercise. Your side delts get trained the same way your upper chest does within that rep range. Now, when I said failure is basically the point at which your muscles can no longer produce enough force to lift that weight to do the rep with the exact same form as you started it with. Now, say you're doing incline Smith machine bench, and you've got 7 reps, and you go for the 8th rep and you can't lift it anymore. So that's failure. But also, if you've been training a while, you know what failure feels like. So if you get 7 reps, you complete successfully, but you know for certain that you won't get the next rep, you can stop the set there, and that is also classed as failure. However, for beginners, I would recommend going to complete failure, as in where the weight doesn't go up anymore, because then you can learn what it feels like, and every exercise is a little bit different. So it's important to have that knowledge. Because we're using a low to moderate rep range until failure, that means the weights that you're going to be lifting are going to be quite heavy. Whatever heavy is for you at the moment, the weights are going to be quite heavy. So in between your sets, it will be a 3-minute rest period. You basically just rest until you feel ready to do the next set. Around 3 minutes should be enough. Like, if you're doing more than 4 or 5 minutes, that's kind of taking the piss at this point. But it's basically so that the energy in our muscles called ATP can replenish, because we're training for strength, which means muscle growth, not for cardio. We're not doing fucking endurance activities here. Okay, so say you're doing incline bench for 225 and you get 7 reps. Now the next session, you get 8 reps. You've reached the top of the rep range. What do you do then? You just increase the weight to, 235. And then you do the weight and you might get 5 reps this time. So you've reached the top of the rep range with one weight, you increase the weight, and then you go back down to the bottom of the rep range, and then you just keep going like this. This is progressive overload. This is how you know that you're gaining strength and therefore muscle. And this is basically your main task in the gym, to keep seeing progressive overload. You want to see consistent progressive overload. Obviously, when you're losing fat, for example, you're in a deficit, your progressive overload might stall or become a lot slower. But when you're at maintenance and you're eating right, you're sleeping right, you're training intelligent like I'm talking about, you should see consistent progressive overload. If you're a beginner in the gym, like under a year of training, you'll see very fast progressive overload, like 2-3 reps per session maybe. When you're more advanced in the gym, 3 years, something like that, the progressive overload is going to be a lot slower, but it'll still be there consistently. Now, if you noticed before, when I was talking about the exercises that you should do for your V-taper physique, they were only stable exercises. There were no free weights, there were no barbells, anything like that, no dumbbells. Now, the reason for that is choosing stable exercises over unstable ones is going to allow you to see higher and faster rates of muscle growth, because all the force that your muscles can produce will go into lifting the weight. If you use unstable exercises like dumbbells, you're going to have to use some muscle fibers to coordinate the weight yourself. Whereas when you use a machine, the machine is coordinating the weight for you. Now, you can do any exercise you want as long as it's still training the muscle that you want to train. But if you want to see efficient progress, build an attractive physique as fast and efficiently as possible, it only makes sense to do what works best. And that's another reason that I prefer using exercises that use both arms or both legs, whatever, at the same time, because it's more stable. Now, if you're a busy guy and you don't even have enough time to go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week with an upper-lower split, what can you do? Do you have to be skinny fat forever? No, you can do a full body split 3 to 4 times a week. Now, of course, you're not going to build the most attractive physique in the quickest amount of time possible, but you can still do pretty good. You're going to have to, sacrifice some muscles, like you might not train them one day and do them the next just to save time in the gym. But overall, it might take you 30-35 minutes every other day in the gym, so it's not that much of a time commitment at all. With the upper-lower split that I recommend, it will be like 45 or 50 minutes in the gym per workout. Now, that's quite a decent amount shorter than the guys that are doing hour and a half, 2-hour sessions, doing loads of junk volume and getting worse results than us. Now, me personally, when I figured out how to train correctly, that's when my physique really exploded in quite a short amount of time. Like around 4 months, I got quite a good physique, just training properly and eating consistently everything every day. And of course, my results with women also got quite significantly better as well. And once you start training properly and you see that what you're doing actually works, like at the moment, a lot of guys are training in the gym and what they're doing is not really working. They might see a bit of, increases here and there over some time, but once you train properly, if you've not been training properly before, your jump will be so dramatic to how you feel and how you train and the progressive overload that you see. And it just gives you that big boost of confidence, which will allow you to go further and keep building that attractive physique. Now, some common training mistakes. One of them is just going to be having bad form. Don't change your exercises that you're doing too early. Like, you might want to try something else, but I'd recommend to stick with an exercise for a long period of time and really master your form on it. Lifting weights is a skill, and it's a transferable skill across exercises. If you can do one exercise perfectly, then a similar one, you'll be able to do that easily as well. But if you're doing different exercises all the time and you never analyze your form and see how you're doing, you might be thinking you're lifting weights well and you're actually not. Your form is shit. If you don't have great form on every exercise that you're doing, you won't be targeting the muscle tissue that you want to target as effectively as possible, which means you won't build a nice physique as effectively and as quickly as possible. And that leads on to the next thing, which is progressive overload. You might be seeing fake progressive overload because you've altered your form. If you're doing a set right, your last rep should have the exact same form as your very first rep. Now, the speed at which you do the rep is going to slow down because you're using heavy weights and you're going to failure. But your actual form should stay the same. The movement pattern in which you're lifting the weight should stay the same. Don't be cheating on the last couple of reps of your set and then thinking you're seeing progressive overload and increasing the weight when it's actually just your form that's going terrible. Now, another thing is going to be training through fatigue. Now, obviously, our split is designed to minimize fatigue as much as possible while still seeing great rates of muscle growth, so we can keep going to the gym consistently building our attractive physique. Now, if you're fatigued, which means, for example, if you have muscle damage, you have soreness, you feel delayed onset muscle soreness, that means you've got high levels of muscle damage. You shouldn't have that once you've been training for a while, but if you're new to the gym or you've not been going to the gym or you introduce a new exercise even, you can have delayed onset muscle soreness, which is when your muscles feel sore the next day after training. Now, you don't need this, by the way, to grow muscle. Like, muscle damage and muscle growth are completely different. But if you have that fatigue, you shouldn't then be training. You'll put yourself at greater risk of injury and you'll also be weaker, and there's literally genuinely no benefit to training. So if you feel fatigued for whatever reason, it's going to be more important to take care of that fatigue and rest rather than go to the gym and not actually see any muscle growth because you're training through fatigue. Another thing is being patient. Now, if you've been training poorly in the past or you're new to the gym, you can see good rates of growth very rapidly, but be prepared for those rates to slow down. Now, the way that you should judge whether you're on the right track is just progressive overload. Are you seeing consistent progressive overload? If you're not, then you have to analyze your training, analyze your sleep, analyze your diet. If you are, then just take your time. You're on the right track. And the last thing is going to be comparing yourself to what other people in the gym are doing. Now, if I copied and followed and compared myself to what other people in the gym were doing when I first started training, I would have a shit physique, the same as most of them, right? Now, you know what you're doing. If you're seeing consistent growth, consistent progressive overload, you know what you're doing is correct. You don't care about the fucking weird exercises, weird rep ranges, sets, whatever the other people are doing, it's irrelevant to you. Most people don't have an attractive physique. That's a fact, right? So you can't do what most people are doing. You can't follow the advice of what most people have unless they have what you want. So some action steps for you based on what I've talked about in the video. What attractive muscle do you want to prioritize first? Your lats, your shoulders, your upper chest, your core. What is it? What muscle does it need to be brought up first? Whatever muscle that is, you're going to do it first in your session. You're going to train within the 4 to 8 rep range, and you're going to train till failure, true failure. A lot of people don't know what failure feels like. They think they've reached failure. They've got another 5 reps fucking left. Like, come on. So once you do that, you're really gonna see the growth. Imagine if you've been training to what you think is failure, but you have a lot of reps left. You've got so much untapped muscle growth. It's actually quite exciting. You've got so much muscle potential. If you need to lose weight, lose fat to start to see your physique, get on a calorie deficit, but still be implementing the muscle growth techniques that I've talked about. It's very important to track your muscle growth, your progressive overload in the gym. So you can either write it down like some people do, or to make it easier, use an app. I use an app called Strong, but there's others, and whatever app you need, whatever you need to track your progressive overload. That's going to be extremely important. So you can see when you're progressing, you can see when you're stalling, even declining, and you can analyze, what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong? So to recap, just focus on those attractive muscles. Those are going to be your priority. Those are the muscles that are going to build the frame, the attractive physique, the lean V-taper physique that you want. Focus on being efficient in the gym rather than just spamming loads of junk volume. Your time is valuable, right? Your time should be valuable. So use your time wisely, and you're going to see better results than the people who don't. Once you compound all these things together, the attractive V-taper muscles, the lean physique, the confidence boost from looking great, you feel good, you look good. Like, it's no wonder that girls just want to be around you, that you attract people to you. It's just so appealing. So implement the advice that I've given you, and you should get there soon. Now, if you've taken value from this video, drop a like and watch this one next.